Hello everyone. If you have not yet subscribed my channel, first you subscribe it. Today we are going to discuss very interesting thing about the chemical reactions and equations. We will discuss all these things from the base only. So if you don't know anything, then also you can watch this video because I am telling you all the things. I will be telling you all the things from the base. So first is physical change. What is a physical change? Physical change is a change in a physical property. Any change in a physical property is called physical change, like melting. Melting, suppose if a ice melts, is there any change in chemical property? No change. That's why this is physical change. And boiling, condensation, because no change occurs in the identity of the substance, no change occurs in the chemical composition of the substance. That's why it is referred to as the physical change. Next one is chemical change. Chemical change is a change in which chemical composition of a substance happens. For example, as the old one, for example, if we burn a piece of paper, then the chemical composition of the paper changes. The new substance formed is S, which is chemically different from the old substance paper. Atoms in the reactants are rearranged to form one or more different substances. Old bonds are broken and new bonds are formed. Reactants lose their properties to form product of different properties. And this is a chemical change. For example, here the example is providing 4Fe plus 3O2. It is a we are reacting iron with oxygen. Then Fe2O3 rust is formed. If we leave iron in the air, then after some time it will react with air and forms rust. This rust is nothing but a iron oxide or ferric oxide. Okay, so this is the chemical change. In chemical change, atoms of reactants are rearranged, their position get changed, and they forms new substances. Old bonds with the substances which they are combined or also get break, and they form new bonds with other substances. Okay, so this is what is a chemical change. Moving on, chemical equation. What is a chemical equation? Chemical equation is a symbolic representation of a chemical reaction. The representation of a chemical reaction in the form of symbols is called a chemical equation. Suppose this is a iron, this is a oxygen. Iron plus oxygen will produce dust. This is not a chemical equation, this is a statement equation. So if we write this reaction in the form of symbols, symbol of iron is a Fe, symbol of oxygen is O2. So and the formula of rust is Fe2O3. So this is a chemical equation in which a symbols are used. So this is the symbolic representation of a chemical reaction. It's called chemical equation. Now moving on, what are the features of a chemical equation? The reactants are written on the left hand side with the plus sign between them. Yeah, as you can see in Fe and 3O2. Fe and O2 are the reactants, that's why they are written on the left hand side of the arrow mark, and the products formed is written in the right hand side. If more than one product is formed, then also the product will be written in the right hand side of the arrow. Okay, so and arrow is the one which separates the reactants from product, and the arrowhead points towards the products and indicates the direction of reaction. Okay, Next one is skeletal reaction chemical equation. Skeletal chemical equation is a chemical equation which is not balanced. An unbalanced chemical equation is known as skeletal chemical equation. Let's see what definition is written here. A chemical equation which simply represents the symbols and formulas of reactants taking part in the reaction is known as a skeletal chemical equation for a reaction. Okay. For example, burning of magnesium in air, Mg plus O2 will produce MgO, is a skeletal equation because it is not balanced. Okay, so the chemical equations are also of two types, balanced and unbalanced or skeletal. The unbalanced chemical reaction is known as a skeletal chemical reaction, and the balanced chemical reaction is known as balanced chemical reaction. Okay, in a balanced chemical equation, the number of atoms in the reactant side are equal to the number of atoms in the product side. Okay, now how we will identify that which type of chemical equation it is. So first one is combustion or combustion or burning. What is combustion? If any substance reacts with oxygen and it will form its oxide and the another substance will release. Okay, so this is the identification of combustion. Next one is combination. When two substances combine to form a single substance, it is known as combination. Decomposition. When one substance get decomposed into two parts, it is known as into two substances is known as decomposition. What is displacement? When one substance displaces the another substance which is combined to other substance and combines with the substance which replaces it is known as displacement reaction. As you can see, A plus BC. Now the A replaces C from B and it combines with A. So this is a displacement reaction. And next one is double displacement reaction. What happens in this type of reaction? Two substances are taken and each substance from each reactant displaces the other substance from other reactant. As we can say, AB plus CD will produce AD and CD. As A replaces D from C, so it forms AD, and B and C replaces B from A, and in this reaction two displacements are happening, the displacement of D and the displacement of V. That's why this reaction is known as displacement reaction. And now let's discuss it with definitions and example. What is combination reaction? When two or more reactants combine to form a single substance, a single product, this is known as combination reaction. As we can say, Mg reacts with O2 and forms 2MgO. Here two substances react and forms magnesium oxide. Magnesium and oxygen combines to form a magnesium oxide. So this is the combination reaction, and the color of MgO is white. Okay, and it is a basic and it turns red litmus blue. Okay, always remember, red litmus turns to blue in basic solution and blue litmus turns red in acidic solution. Here litmus is a indicator. Okay, there are many indicators like the litmus, phenolphthalein and methyl orange. If we have started, and let's discuss what this. The phenolphthalein turns pink from colorless in basic solution and turns colorless from pink in and turns pink from colorless in basic solution and turns pink and turns colorless from pink in acidic solution. The methyl orange also turns orange to pink in acidic solution and pink to orange in basic solution. Okay, let's move next. What is decomposition reaction? A single compound decomposes or break down to give two or more simpler substances. When a single compound breaks into two or more substances which are simpler than the substance which breaks is known as decomposition reaction. For example, FeSO4 breaks into Fe2O3, ferrous sulfate, or ferrous oxide, and form and SO2, sulfur dioxide, and sulfur trioxide. Okay, so this is a decomposition reaction because here FeSO4 get breaks into three substances: ferric oxide, sulfur dioxide, and sulfur trioxide. The color of sulfur trioxide is brown. Okay, now move first. What is displacement reaction? In displacement reaction, a more reactive element displaces the rest reactive element from its aqueous salt solution or any salt or any substance. For example, if we pour Fe into ZnSO4 aqueous solution, then the colorless solution of ZnSO4 turns green as the zinc moves out, which is colorless, and FeSO4 is formed, which is ferrous sulfate. So here iron displaces sulfur sulfate from zinc. So here iron displaces sulfate from zinc and forms FeSO4 and zinc moves out. Okay, so this is a displacement reaction. What is a double displacement reaction? Double displacement reaction is a reaction in which aqueous solution of two ionic compounds react by exchange of their ions. Aqueous solution of two ionic compounds react by exchange of their ions. This is what is called double displacement reaction. हाँ, तो अब आते हैं तो फिर BaCl2 plus Na2SO4 will form BaSO4 and 2NaCl. Here what we are saying that barium replaces sulfate from sodium sulfate and sodium replaces chloride from barium chloride. So this is what is a double displacement reaction. Here what happens, BaCl2 and Na2SO4 reacts and BaSO4 and 2NaCl is formed. Okay, so this is a double displacement reaction. Let's take another example of lead nitrate. PbNO3 whole twice reacts with 2 potassium iodide. Ki is potassium iodide and it forms lead iodide, which is a lead iodide, which is a precipitate. Precipitate is a solid substance which is formed. Okay, and this arrow mark indicates the precipitate, and just reverse of this arrow mark, if the arrow mark is in upward direction, then it represents the gaseous substance. Okay, so PV, when lead nitrate reacts with potassium iodide, then lead iodide is formed along with potassium nitrate. Okay, so here also lead displaces iodine from potassium iodide and forms lead iodide, and potassium displaces nitrate from lead nitrate and forms, so potassium displaces nitrate from lead nitrate and forms potassium displaces nitrate from lead and forms potassium nitrate. So this kind of reaction is known as double displacement reaction. Next one is oxidation reaction. In oxidation reaction, addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen or loss of electron takes place. Okay, if in any equation there a substance loses hydrogen or loses electron and gains or gains oxygen, then these type of reactions are known as oxidation reaction. Okay, as we can say 2 mg plus O2 forms 2 mgO. Here oxygen is added to mgO, to mg, and mgO is formed, so mg got reduced and oxidation of magnesium takes place. Okay, the substance which oxidation happens get reduced, therefore mg is a reducing agent and mgO form is a, and oxidation of magnesium happens, so mg form. Copper reacts with O2 and forms CuO, copper dye, copper oxide, copper second oxide, or cupric oxide. Okay, so this is a example of oxidation reaction. As addition of oxygen takes place. Next one is reduction reaction. In reduction reaction, addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen or gain of electron takes place. As we can say, copper oxides react with hydrogen and water is formed. So here oxygen is loosed by copper, so reduction of copper takes place. So this is a reduction reaction. Next one is redox reaction. It is a reaction in which oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously. At the same time oxidation and reduction happens, so these type of reactions are known as redox reaction. For example, copper oxide reacts with hydrogen. Here reduction of copper happens, but at the same time oxidation of hydrogen also takes place. That's why this reaction is known as redox reaction. Next one is exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction is a reaction in which heat is evolved. Exothermic reaction is a reaction in which two substances react to release heat and form another compound. For example, carbon and oxygen reacts. If we burn carbon in the presence of oxygen, then CO2 gas is evolved. Along with that, and heat is also released. For example, if we burn wood, then wood is a compound of carbon. So when wood burns, then oxygen reacts with carbon. It is mainly a reaction. Burning of carbon is a reaction in which carbon burns and combines with oxygen and the heat is produced. So this is a exothermic reaction. Okay, what is a neutralization reaction? Neutralization reaction is a reaction in which acid and base reacts to form salt and water. For example, HCl is also. Why this is called neutralization reaction? As acid is highly reactive, bases are also reactive, and the substance formed water and salt are non-reactive. That's why this reaction is known as